Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, my most lovely guest, the lovely Danielle.
Oh, thank you. Hello.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh, it was something you reached out to me. You were like we need to do a music stream and just talk
Yes.
about music. I was like, oh yeah, I'm up for that.
Yeah, definitely. That's never a boring subject, ever,
No, it's
especially for
not.
people like us.
No, and what always intrigued me every time I would see you on, you'd have that David Bowie sitting in the background. I'm sitting there going, I know all of the stuff that she's got back
Yeah.
there on her wall, and it's like it's so awesome.
Aw. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people have their collages in the back, or if they have them at all, I don't know. But I certainly do, and I love it, and it's part of who I am. So
It's
why not?
awesome. I mean, because it shows a lot about it. And initially, whenever I was pulling this up, because I was like, oh shit, I don't have a picture of her, and I was like, what would be the best description I had of you? And it was like
Uh-huh.
Debbie Harry, like from 1977. I was like, nah, it doesn't do it justice. I was like,
Oh,
she's more lively. Debbie Harry was a little bit dark at that period of
yeah,
time.
she was. That's true.
I
Yeah.
mean, she was blonde, but she's still dark.
Well, I'm a
I was
fake
like,
blonde. I think she's a real blonde. Mine is I'm naturally brown headed, so
well, not anymore. She's not a natural blonde. She's naturally gray. She's
oh,
she
yeah.
she's so tiny too.
Is
I
she?
was yeah. She's like, I mean, I would she. It seemed like she was wearing heels and barely hitting 5 foot. I mean, she was just tiny, tiny, tiny.
You know who's got it going on at their age is Joan Jett. That
Oh
goals right
yes,
there. Like she looks
yes,
amazing,
yes. Absolutely, absolutely.
beautiful. And she takes care of herself. She eats right. You know, she
Yep.
doesn't do stupid stuff. Oh, hey Nandor.
I was on with Nandor last night. She is so awesome.
Yeah,
She
she's
really is.
awesome. I've talked to her in the chats for a while now, like back to what was it? Meaty. Back when his
Yeah,
streams. Yeah, so we would talk back and forth there, and she likes our kind of music too, or punk rock anyway.
exactly. Well, and that's the thing is I've not always been punk rock, and still to this day I'm not like full on punk rock.
Right.
But I appreciate the artistry of it, and the talent and the aggressiveness and the attitude.
Yeah,
That
the
was
attitude.
that was always what was like, yep, I'm totally supportive of it.
Yeah, and plus you used to play. What got me was you said you used to play in a band that sounded when you said Dead Kennedys and Iggy and the Stooges. I never forgot, and
Yep.
I was like, I'm not going to leave this man alone.
Nope.
I want to
It
hear that
was
band one day, Shizzy.
you will hear that band one day, and it sounds so horrible compared
That's
to
all
some of
right.
the other stuff I've done, but the beauty of it is the writing of the musicians that were there, like writing the lyrics. Because I got hired in because they fired off their bass player, or he just quit or whatever, and they
Yeah.
were just like, you're like, come in, because I'd played with the guitar player before in another band, and everybody was saying, oh, we're the loudest band in this space, and then of course the guitar player. Oh, thanks Nandor. I did that. I did that because I couldn't be the the ugliest one here. All the
No,
time.
I like the muscle shirt.
Yeah. Oh well, I like I said, my brother-in-law showed up, and I was just like, got to throw a shirt on and
Yeah.
hang out. But so I played in this band. The guy was sitting there saying, "Oh, we're the loudest band," and I had, I mean, I was into like Sex Pistols and Iggy Pop, like back in the early '80s, and also at the same time I was listening to anything from Metallica to Jimi
Hmm.
Hendrix, Led Zeppelin. I mean, my music range was drastic. One of
Sure.
my friends introduced me to like the Ramones, and we're like I was like, oh my
The
gosh,
three
this is
chord
so
guitar kind
awesome.
of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. And it was like there was so much. Hey Suzanne, how's it going? And it was, hanging around with other musicians at a whenever I wasn't a musician at the time, really like it opened up so much because prior to that it was just this, anything from like it was mostly like country western or gospel,
Mhm.
that kind of stuff that my mother would listen to. And so you sort of take all that in, and then all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, there's these other bands out there that are just, there's so much. I mean, I got introduced to the Red Hot Chili Peppers by this girl that got like
Mm.
the what is that stuff? Columbia Clearinghouse. She got these 99 cent, you know,
I
tape
remember
recorders.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and she had signed up for it, and she handed me like Red Hot Chili Peppers, like their early stuff, some Voivod. It was like I don't like any of this, and I put that in. It was like, oh my god, this
Yeah.
is this is like eating it up. So it was, going from all of that, going on tour, ending up in Georgia and playing like, just a sort of an offshoot of blues.
Mhm.
And then this guy that was doing more of the craft work kind of music, more keyboard stuff, introduced me to this drummer, and you're playing like sort of a funk kind of thing. And I ended up playing guitar with these guys, and then the bass player left because he was like, yeah, this guy's full of shit, the drummer was. And then the drummer sort of bailed, and me and the guitar player formed like this band. He goes, any bass players? Because you can play drums pretty good. I was like, yeah, okay, I guess. I mean, I'm
Mhm.
okay. And so we sort of formed this little band, and next thing you know, we're playing places like Dark Horse Tavern on whatever open mics. We're playing Somber Reptile. We're playing
Mhm.
the Rec Room. I mean, just putting it all together, and then going from all of that to the band just sort of split up, and I went into a blues band, started playing more of the like Roadhouse blues kind of stuff. And then this guitar player, after I left that band, like says, we just fired our our bass player. He's sort of out of it. He's married, has like 8 kids. He's not really interested in this. So I was like, yeah,
Mhm.
I'll come in. And because I can actually scream in key, they were just like, hey, we want you to sing some of this. So they would write the lyrics and I would sing. And then there was also, the other two guys that would sing. So it wasn't so stressful. And we just had a good time just playing.
Yeah, just the experience of it all. And
Right.
having, it's one thing, like I've always loved music, but I've never played an instrument. So, I mean, a lot of people's like, oh, you should start playing guitar. You should start your own band as much as you love music. And I just never did because it just wasn't my thing. But I enjoyed going to shows. And
So
yeah.
so what was the first thing that really got you turned on in the music portion of it?
Well, oh wow, it's almost like emotional for me to like talk about because it became forever for me. So the starting point, I remember staying with my cousin was staying in North Carolina with me over the summer, and we were both working for my grandfather, and he was listening to like No Effects and this band called Screeching Weasel, and it was
Nice.
all like his influence was the Ramones.
Yeah.
And I would listen to this. And then Green Day was popular kind of back then. This was early 90s. So they
Mhm.
had just came off from their other band. What was their, it was something Children was their first band.
Yeah.
And then I know
Yeah, I
how
know what you're
Rancid
talking
had
about.
like Pinhead Gunpowder and all that. So it was all from like this record company called Lookout Records. So anyways, this is when cassettes were the only thing that we had. And so I would listen to the Green Day album, and that was like, I really got into that, and I really got into No Effects. That's when Ribbed came out. And
Mhm.
so I just kind of followed in those footsteps, but I never stopped, like till it followed me the rest of my life. But when I was a kid, I was raised by very religious parents. So they went, everything was the devil. And I'm talking about my mom and my stepdad.
Yeah.
And so and I didn't have a life, I couldn't go out with my friends, I couldn't do anything, but I had my music. and I would sneak it. And I never did anything bad as a kid. I never snuck out. I never did anything like that.
But you would
I
sneak
would
the music
sneak
in.
music, and I had this crappy cassette player, and I'd listen to it. And then when I would get in trouble with, they'd find my cassettes, the devil music, whatever, I would have to take all this stuff and hide it in my cubbies at school. And so I would just put it in there and like hide it. And this was fifth grade. I was doing this.
Gosh.
And it never stopped until I graduated high school. I had to like really keep all these things like private. But when I started finding music on my own, like branching out with more punk rock, it was Richard Hell. It was, Richard Hell and the Voidoids, or, it was Richard Hell on cassette, the Sex Pistols. And then I got into all this street punk, and I hung out with the Skaters and the Misfits, and just formed my own identity, which was really special to me. And that's how I found who I was. And it was my freedom. And so I always said punk rock is freedom. And I remember Joe Strummer from The Clash talking about revolution.
Yes.
And that did me in. I was like, that is just, it was just so precious to me. So this was something I had of my own. And I created my own identity, like I said, and I became Danielle. And I have a friend, maybe that's watching tonight, that we both grew up in it. And he watched me from a kid, like in middle school or high school. I met him in 9th grade, never stopped liking the music I listened to. And then I started going to shows, and I went to my first concert when I wasn't supposed to. Imagine that. And that's when
what was the first concert?
This band was called Adam and His Package. And it was this nerd that had a synthesizer, and it was just him. Nice. And me and my friend, I was like, I'm staying at April's tonight. And me, April, and her boyfriend tuck off to go see Adam and His Package. And on the way back, like 2 minutes from our house, flipped my car, ended up in a retention pond. We were all okay, but guess who had to know about it? My mom.
Oh my God.
And I was like, but it was so worth it because I got to see Adam and His Package, but I didn't have a car for 7 months. So I learned a lesson there, but it never stopped me. As soon as I graduated high school, I was out of there, and I started going to shows over in Asheville, North Carolina. And that's like hippie town, but they also have a good punk scene. And I found crust punk, which is spoke to me too, It's like gutter punk, people living on the streets and just real dirt bags. But I loved it, and I liked the crust punk. And that ended up meeting one of my good friends was in the band that I loved. So I followed them on tour, just kind of followed them in each venue that they went, and kind of stalked them, but not really, not a groupie stalking kind of thing. Right. Until this day, I'm still friends. It's been 20 years. I'm still friends with the bass player. And we both have straightened up our act because we went through our partying phase and all that. And we both got into nerd stuff, like school and, going to college. And so, but I still love my punk rock. And I, as soon as I got my own house, I was like, that's it. I'm collaging my walls and I'm doing my thing. And I just never lost touch with it. So, I love all music too. So all music is, I like different kinds of rock music, different kinds of country, not real, older country. Johnny Cash stuff, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Suicidal tennies.
And now I can take my kid to shows. I took him to a couple shows and introduced him to the scene. So.
Have you ever seen John Spencer and the Blues Explosion?
Oh,
you'd like it. There's a movie that they released, the very first scene. It's called Drive. It was filmed here in Atlanta. And the very first song that comes up is, if I'm not mistaken, Bell Bottoms by John Spencer's Blues Explosion. And I got introduced to them. There's a little place called Wuck Street. And I used to deliver pizzas to them. And I come in there and I was like, oh, look at these cool old albums. I'm checking out all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I hear this song playing and I was just like, what is this? And he was like, oh, that's John Spencer's Blues Explosion. Orange is the name of the album. And I was like, well, that's pretty cool. I like that. And so I started listening to it, and just their live stuff is so bad, so horrible. just out of key, just screaming, and but their recorded stuff is really good.
Yeah.
And then from that there was other bands that shot off from there, that were just going and hanging out with over at this guy's little record store that he was just manager of. I would go in there and he would be like, "Oh, check this out, check this out, check this out, check this out." And because being on tour with a band that's touring, you hear all of the freaking Bon Jovi and Jane's Addiction and all the stuff that you can possibly handle, and you're just like, "I've heard this song a million times. I just
Yeah.
need something fresh, something new." I mean, growing up, it was the Johnny Cash, and then you would get into like the June Carter Cash, so you've got Johnny and June, and they're doing that stuff, and it was like, I was like, "Oh, listen to the melodies and the tones
Yeah.
and the different sounds that's coming out, and the and the way that they would work with each other." And it's really hard for me being a musician to say, "Oh, there's like punk rock is my life," because
Yeah.
it never was.
And that's not
It
fair
was
to you to have to sell yourself so short, because like there's
right.
so much more. You know, I never did that either. I never was like, oh, punk rock all the way, because that's not punk rock. Like that's just not punk rock.
Yep.
Leaving your options open, being open minded. That's punk rock. You know.
MJ.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
and
love
and
Melissa
and
Jane.
and, and see metal is what really got me through a lot of my tougher times. I used to actually fall asleep, basically with my head sitting next to a kick drum,
Oh wow.
with this local band that would play like Metallica over and over and over again because they were just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I could, because I was so overworked, it was just like I would fall asleep there. Just
It probably just evened out your adrenaline,
I
like
think
to
so.
to do that. Yeah, because I used to be able to, fall asleep to just chaos, just like the craziest, just most obnoxious, most horrible album. Like I would be able to just then fall asleep. I don't know what. Nowadays, no, I don't think I could do that anymore. I am getting older, and I can, I like my peace and quiet. Like, and I don't go to shows as much anymore. You got to be a really good band for me to want to go these days. And
Yes.
even if you're a really good band, it still has to be more than just that for me. Like I went and saw Bad Religion last year. I had to, you know, but it was something I planned like a year in advance, and it was like, it wasn't just a spontaneous, let me go do that. So things are a little bit different now, of course, the older you get, but
What
pretty much still
my
the same too.
my wife went with her friends to see Joan Jett at
Oh
the
yeah.
yeah, it was Joan Jett and Pat Benatar, and she was
Nice.
just like holy crap,
Joan Jett
both
still
of them.
has it.
Yeah, both of them. She was
How long
well,
ago
she
did
was
she do that?
that was probably about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, because I
So,
remember her being on tour.
yeah,
That's awesome. Your wife went and saw Joan Jett. Joan Jett is everything I would always want to be. Like I look up to her. She's a
yeah.
good person too. I act like I know her, listen. But
No,
like
no, I
she's
mean,
actually like a good. You feel like you know some of these people because they've shared so much of their life with you, and you grow up to them. Like I know
well,
Billy Idol. Like Billy Idol's not really like punk rock, but he was Generation X. You remember that
yeah.
band?
Oh
So
yeah.
I guess that's a little punk rock. But I would die to see Bon Jovi. I would go see him.
Well, and
Not Bon
Dave,
Jovi. Did I say Bon Jovi? I
yeah,
meant Billy Idol. Not
yeah.
Bon Jovi. You couldn't pay me to go see Bon Jovi.
Uh, I wouldn't see Bon Jovi, but I would go and see Cheap Trick again.
Mm.
The David Bryant, which is John Bon Jovi's key player, he was actually touring with Cheap Trick because their keyboard player was out or sick or whatever, and he was so chill, so relaxed, just doing his thing, and an amazing keyboard player. I
Mm.
mean, and I mean all those guys from Cheap Trick were just chill, like whatever. And then the next night you had the Exploited playing.
Ah. Let's start a
was
war, said Maggie one day. He always talks about Maggie.
exactly. I mean, it was just like, oh my
Exploited.
gosh. So
Gotta
so
love
one night
Exploited.
I'm seeing Cheap Trick, and the next night I'm seeing, the Exploited. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I mean,
Yeah, that is amazing. It's great. Like I've seen so many different shows and concerts in my life, and it's so nice to be able to say, seen them, and them. Like I'm very blessed. Like to see as many bands, and uh, it's just been such a fun experience. It's so much a part of my life and who I am that I could still walk into a punk show and feel at home. And yeah, it's different than it used to be. And it does my heart good to see a bunch of kids there, um, doing something other than being online or, doing bad stuff. They're just being kids finding music. And I could see myself as that kid back in the day, so it's fun to see.
well, and I think it also helps as kids are coming into their own, in this time and age, that they see that they can let off steam without having to, be so worried about, you know, fitting in,
Yeah,
because that was the part of punk rock that was, yeah, we don't fit in
we
anywhere.
don't fit in, and that's
I
okay.
mean, we like all we like all you people. We're not hippies. I mean, we'll kick
Yeah,
some hippies ass because he's telling us we have to be like them. We don't want to be like them. We
we're
want to
not
do our own thing.
conforming. Yeah, we're not
Exactly.
going to conform, and it's okay if you don't like us. It that like literally that whole punk rock. Like I know it sounds so cheesy to say it, but it literally saved my life.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I want that for other people. Just when it doesn't have to be punk rock, just music in itself. It is something we're blessed with in this world to have.
Yeah.
And so for
Well,
me, it's definitely made me who I am.
I think punk rock saved one of my buddies' lives, like, pretty well. I mean,
Well,
he had a pretty rough upbringing. I think he was like the only kid in his family that wasn't part of an incestual relationship. Like his mother
um,
cheated on like Uncle Daddy or some crap like that. So he was outside of that, and at a
he knew
younger
it was
age,
wrong.
yeah, I mean, at a younger age, he had suffered a pretty bad blow to the head, and had seizures, and sometime within that same time period, his mother came in and said she loved him, committed suicide like that
Oh,
night. And I mean, it was like all the bad shit that could possibly happen was happening all at once. And I think punk rock just sort of, changed him, where he got out all of the aggression and the anger
mhm.
that he was feeling. And now he's
It
happily
resonated with
married.
him.
he
Yeah,
has he has two lovely kids. He rides
it's
motorcycles on the
wonderful.
weekends, works for a main radio station, and like in their IT department. And
Good for
he's like
him. He turned
completely
it
chill.
around.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
I think music had a lot to do with that. I
sure.
mean, his
I
his
believe it.
his bass guitar from the band he was playing with is hanging up in a guitar shop in Albuquerque and will never be sold. I mean, it just and
That's
he
a
he wasn't
wonderful
any
story.
he wasn't iconic or anything. He just was that kind. He had that kind of personality that no matter who ran into him, whoever they were, he was completely just like whatever. I've seen some shit. I don't care.
It
You
built
know
him to where it gave him his backbone, and
exactly.
then he found something like he resonated with,
Yeah,
and then from there he's like it's fine, and
yeah,
he is iconic in his own way because he started his own legacy,
yeah,
despite all the bad.
yeah,
I know what it's like having like a rough upbringing. Like my upbringing was very weird,
yeah,
and that feeling of just like something don't feel right about this, but I can't put my finger on what I'm seeing or what's going on. And just to find something of your own is so special. And I'm glad that I found it young, and I'm glad I never let it go. I
right.
never lost touch with it. I never said, "Oh, it was just a phase." It was never a phase. It was a lifestyle. and it was a positive one.
Right. Oh, and like Kaiser was, he was talking about, metal like really got me through like a
Yeah,
lot of shit and still sticks with him today. A lot of metal came from that punk rock era. I mean,
yeah,
the
Motorhead, Lemmy.
oh yeah. Well,
Lemmy
and
was
if you think
amazing.
where
He's
Lemmy
one of
came
my role
from,
models.
he was doing, what was it, Tangerine Dream before that, which was just sort of like this weird, like hippie-ish kind of craft work. It was just really weird shit. And then he comes out from, like, holy fuck, where'd this come from?
I
Like,
like how they say that Lemmy was rock and roll. Like if you the way he was, the way he dressed, like his authentic like cowboy boots, he'd have them all designed. I got myself a pair. I was like, I want to be like Lemmy because I went through that phase, and
well,
because Lemmy
did you
was
did you
he's
see the
amazing.
eulogy that David Grohl gave to Lemmy?
Oh, I can imagine because they
Oh
were
my
in
god.
Robot, and that was one of his role models. Yeah,
Yeah, he
I didn't hear that. I'm gonna
oh
have to
oh
check it out.
you should see that eulogy. I mean, I would play it here, but I'll start crying. I mean,
Yeah,
it's deep because him and Lemmy go
I love Dave
way
Grohl.
back to, for Dave Grohl, that goes way back. Yeah,
Oh,
Dave
I'm
Grohl
gonna cry just thinking about it. I bet it's
is
amazing.
well, and you had, like your picture, you got that picture of Kurt Cobain.
Yeah,
But Kurt Cobain, I wasn't really impressed with him as a whole.
I
I
gotcha.
think I think I like David Grohl much better. Just he had a different attitude about him. Not saying it was any better or any worse.
Sure.
I
I know
just
what you mean.
I didn't like the broken-hearted musician where
Yeah.
like everything is a pain. It was just like, I was like, I don't care.
Yeah. I don't even think Kurt Cobain liked his own. I don't think he was into his own music either. I think that after a while, it was just annoying to him. It was
Yeah,
annoying and it showed. It's just kind of like if you go out to eat and somebody's waiting on you and they don't want to, it shows. Like if you that Kurt Cobain, he was very transparent when it came to playing in Nirvana. And I think that's a lot of what led to his depression was having to play Smells Like Teen Spirit,
yeah,
stuff like that. But he has a story about him that's very unique. And he was more into like punk rock than anything. And feminism, believe it or
yeah,
not. Like
yeah.
he was a male feminist. And there's a story behind all that. I know people hate on feminism and stuff. But Kurt Cobain, the picture I have behind me, he's in a cheerleading outfit. There's a whole story to all that.
Yep.
And I don't know if you've heard of Bikini Kill, but him and the singer were really good friends. And
Mhm.
they got really drunk one night, and she sprayed on the wall. I don't know if you remember that deodorant back in the day, Teen Spirit.
Yep.
She put Kurt Smells Like Teen Spirit on spray painted. They both got. I think he got arrested because then he put God is something. God is a bag or something like that on
Yeah.
he spray painted
Yeah.
that. So he went to jail over it. But she put Kurt Smells Like Teen Spirit, and that's where he got that song at. So that's the first concert I took my son to see Bikini Kill. And they're a bunch of feminists, but they're badass, and I don't care what anybody says. I love them. So
Well,
and then
and that's
Courtney
the thing. You
Love.
could,
Oh, I'm
you
sorry.
know,
Go ahead.
it, and even if and that was one thing that I always admired about the music scene. It was because even if you played a different type of music or a different style of music, as long as you weren't stealing from somebody else, all musicians were like cool with you.
Yeah.
There, and it was like, wow, you could be a total punk rocker, you could be, a vampire in Hollywood, you could be, a skinhead, you could be, a metalhead, and whenever you got up on stage, you could speak to your whole audience. I mean, I saw a bunch of, long haired, look like hippies get up and they would play one particular song, and every single punk rocker in the place would lose their shit because it
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh my God, this like speaks to me kind of thing. And, these guys, they would do like Motley Crue covers and crap like that.
Yeah.
But whenever they did their original shit, the punk rock crowd was all about them.
That's wonderful though, because usually they're not accepting like that. I know that it used to be a very violent scene, like back when it was Black Flag and, the original Ron Reyes, the singer, Black Flag,
Mhm.
before Rollins.
Yeah.
It was very violent. Circle Jerks, them.
Oh yeah.
And then like that Keith Morris, he did all that, and then he played in Black Flag too. But yeah, they used to have it, and then they would be kind of snobby, like, "Oh, we're not letting anybody in. Oh, you this and that." Like, I never wanted to be a part of that because I was
Yeah.
open to all people. As long as you're cool, like, who cares?
Right.
But there's always that one asshole.
Well, and there's a lot of people like that in the punk rock scene and the metal
Hmm.
scene. They're just they make it to a certain point and then they just pull up the
Yeah.
ladder behind them because I don't want to lose my status of being the greatest that there is.
Oh yeah,
I
I've been
mean,
told like, "Oh, you're too girly to be punk rock. You're too this to be punk rock." I'm like, "What?"
like, do you know?
Back in the day, and I was just like, "That just sounds, what is it called? I guess they used to call it like poserish. Like, you
Yes,
got to sit there and label me." That's why I'm into punk rock, because there's no label involved with this.
right.
And but I mean, it was very rare. Like, "Oh, you're so girly and you look like you come from money," and I just let people think that. Whatever, you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly. It's
That's
like,
your
yeah,
opinion.
sure,
That's cool.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I grew up in a trailer, had nothing, very poor. I had
Yeah,
to work since I was 10 years old to pay for my own school clothes, and I got them all at thrift stores. So if I gave off that impression, good for me. But
exactly.
I did. I loved my music no matter what. And I liked metal. Like I was into, I remember I went through a Marilyn Manson phase. I guess that's not really metal, but I went through that. I like the shock
The shock
value.
value. Yeah,
Yeah, I like that, even like Eminem and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, make people uncomfortable. It's awesome. And it's
yes,
art. And I like the offensive. I like offensive people. I like people that say exactly what they're thinking, but not cruel. There's a big difference with all of that. Like you said, the attitude that
right.
goes with punk rock. It's not, it's aggressive, but it's not supposed to be that like hateful to where you're supposed to hate people and stuff like that. You
No,
hate
it's not.
a lot of what they do because it's
Right. You hate the
wrong to love like
establishment.
something that's, part of you or something. I don't know. But
Right. The reason that you would have beef with someone like Trump is because you would have beef because he's rich and his system. You didn't really have a beef with the guy because if you met him, you'd just be
yeah,
like, yeah, I don't care about you. I care about all those little assholes behind you that are
yeah,
propping you up. Those are the people that I want to fuck with.
yeah,
That's
I
that
got
that
it.
was
Yeah.
that was sort of the attitude with punk rock. It was just like, I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to attack you. I'm after the establishment of the system that you created that's holding people down.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
exactly.
and that's why it's and you see a lot of that like in the Antifa kind of thing, whereas but they haven't solidified their thought or their meaning behind it. It almost seems like it does seem like they're posers, like they're fighting for a cause that they're being paid to fight. And that's I think sort of the beef I have with that whole system. It's like, no,
Absolutely.
no, you're there were people that were against the fascist kind of assholes that are out there, but you're not that because you are the system that you despise so much. That's why I
Mm,
don't like that group so much. And it was just like,
agreed.
it's like you've got your priorities. They're just wrong,
Yeah.
and you're doing it as a group, and you're causing damage. Where punk rock wasn't about causing damage, it was about bringing people in and accepting them for being. You could have blue hair, you could have you could
Yeah.
have a bone through your nose. They didn't care.
They didn't
That was
care.
that was part of being punk rock. It was.
Expressing
You've got
yourself. Yeah.
exactly, you're expressing yourself, but these people aren't expressing themselves. They're expressing what someone has told them that they need to look like or need to do.
And
And
that's
punk rock
prison in
didn't.
itself.
Exactly.
I would hate to live
Exactly.
like that. A lot of my family, they're good people, but they live like that, under a thumb and a
Right.
strict way about them, and they have money, and but puts them in such bondage as people. And it's not just, I'm not saying my family in particular, there's a lot of people like that with money. It puts them in bondage and makes them, I think that it keeps you from enjoying life as much as you should when that's the only focal point that you have is what you can get, how much, status, prestige. I just have always been turned off by all of that. I'm not impressed by status or money. I don't care how much money you have or what you come from. Where your heart is at is what I care about. Where's your heart? Never mind even like music or anything like that or punk rock. Like I've always looked at people, with their heart and, never judge people just because of, what, where they came from or whatever. I don't know how, like based on their merit, I guess you could say.
Well, and I mean, I had friends that were, like total punk rock that came from like good money. I mean, really, really, wealthy families, but they're just
Same.
they were just like, yeah, I don't buy into this shit. It's like, yeah, just because my parents have money doesn't mean shit to me.
Yeah.
It's just like they have money. Great. Sure. They bought me a car. All my friends are going to be hanging out. We're all going to go, go drive around and raise hell.
We're going to utilize this vehicle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Tough, and that's, I mean, I was always fortunate with I have a good dad that, I never went without. I still don't, he's there for me, but he wouldn't be if I didn't try. He's like, you do your part, you're out there on your own, raising your kid, you work, you don't ask me for anything. He's like, so I don't mind helping you. And that it's a very rare thing. If I won't ask him for help, I'm stubborn in that regard because I live frugal. And that's another thing with, my choice with music, it helped me to be simple as a woman. Like, I have like, high standards with what I want and the people that I surround myself with. My standards are super high because I'm not going to be around toxic anything at this, at my age. I have, my son is very impressionable and he's really what I live for, I mean, that's number one before anything. So any choice I make, he always comes first. So what did Nandor say?
It says a mosh pit is perfect example of how the world should be. When a person goes down to mosh pit, there's always those who wall them off and help them to their feet.
Absolutely, Nandor. That's really well put. I love that.
Like a real mosh pit, not some of them I had seen get where it's just like, no, now we're just going to stomp you in the ground kind of thing.
That's where I am, girly. I will not get myself in a mosh pit. You will not see Danielle slam dancing. I mean, maybe slam dancing, but I'm not going to get in a mosh pit.
Yeah, I mean, I could see you not getting in a mosh pit, but someone comes up and wants to do a slam real quick and get a high five, and you're just like,
yeah,
about that. Especially a friend of yours, you just be like,
oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it seems like, even like I go to punk shows now, and there's still like this unity factor. It's still like, hey, we all have fun. Yeah. And I mean, like even me and my son, we've been to shows and like people have taken pictures from like the little zines. I'm like, you're still doing zines? I love that. Taking pictures of me and him. He's like, what is this all about? This is a whole different vibe. And I told him, I don't expect you to like this music. I just want you to have the experience. And after the first few shows, he's never wanted to go again. And I haven't made him. But he got that experience and I got to it and, introduce him to it.
So what kind of music does your son like?
He likes jazz. He likes, I don't know what kind of jazz he likes, but I know he's into jazz. I heard him tell Steve Gosney when we all went out to dinner when we first met Steve, because Steve was quizzing him on his music. He's like, what are you into? And he's like, I like jazz. And he's like, I like rock. He likes classic rock, like Zeppelin and,
get him some Jimmy Smith and Wes Archie. Damn it. Forget Wes's last name. Jimmy Smith. Just get him some Jimmy Smith. That is like the man on the B3.
Okay. Jimmy Smith. Really, let me write that down.
Yeah. Jimmy Smith. Wes Montgomery. Thank you. It took me a second. So Jimmy Smith and Wes Montgomery did some really good stuff together. Like Oregon Grinder Swing is one that's on a particular album. Get him some of like the like classic James Brown stuff.
Oh yeah.
That's whenever. Oh yeah, that's like, I mean, we're
You
talking
probably
like
would really like that.
like early James Brown. That's some really good tight, like their live stuff is so tight, because I mean he had awesome musicians surrounding him. I think he would really enjoy a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, he likes old school like hip hop too.
Very cool.
Like Ice Cube. We were listening to Ice Cube the other day. We have fun. Like this kid, he's something else. This is Kaiser. I've been looking at what Kaiser's been writing.
You try to knock chicks out just for kicks. Me and the guys who surround him and stop him. He threw a punch at me and missed. My aim was better. Nice, Kaiser.
I love Kaiser.
Yeah. Kaiser's awesome.
Hey, Donna T.
So cool. Donna T.
Yeah, Kaiser is a genuine soul.
Yes. Hey, you've got such a following. I'm surprised you don't have more stuff on your channel.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I haven't put anything up there, and I was thinking about just putting something out there. Like, I'm not trying to start a YouTube, but I was like, maybe I should just make a video and put it up there.
Oh, I should have told you. You could have streamed this.
Oh, I wouldn't even know how to.
all you would have had to do is just hit stream to my channel. It would have automatically. You could have put a little thing in there, and you would have had your first live stream.
That would have been cool to have with you. That would have been awesome. But I don't have any plans on doing like YouTube, but I would do that just to have it up there, just to have it for keeps. Yeah. So yeah, that's all right. Man.
Well, you're welcome to upload it onto your channel. I've got no problem.
If I ever like think about it and like try to figure it out, maybe I will. Yeah. Just to have something up there. But yeah, no, I'm excited you had me on. Like, you're like, yeah, we can do it Saturday. It's like, yay.
Yeah. And I mean, I sort of feel bad because as I was talking with Winning Reality, and he's got Radix Verum on tonight. And
I love Radix.
And she's trying to raise funds for her documentary. I was like, oh yeah, I'll tell you something. And I was like, I'm doing this with Danielle. I was like, I'm not stopping by. I'm sorry, but I wanted to do this with you. I was like, because it just you can't
be everywhere at once.
Yeah, you can't dictate your schedule by everybody else's.
That's true.
And that's why whenever I reached out to you, I was like, what's a good time for you? And I'll make it happen, because I know your time is very limited, because you got a child. You can't, I don't want to like take up more time than you.
I got a kid that might end up not having something signed that I have to go all the way back to do.
Exactly. And whenever you were like, oh, I might be wrong, I'm like, no worries, it's okay. Yeah. My chat is awesome. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
Like Wednesday, I've got Rabbit coming on with Fast Group and with Valhalla Awaits.
I'll be watching that Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday. And
no, Rabbit or White Rabbit?
No, what? This rabbit, our rabbit. This rabbit right here. Yes, this lovely rabbit right here.
I love Rabbit. I love White Rabbit too. Hi, MLS Law Show, David.
Hey, how's it going?
I always just say David. I love David. Oh, can he see the postcard? Right next to Bowie's head is an MLS postcard.
Here, let me do this solo layout right there.
Oh, you can hardly see it. I got to make it more visible. Right where the pink thing is. Right above that is MLS Law Show. Awesome. Can you see it, David? Now I don't know which way to turn. Anyways, it's back there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. He said I was looking for the postcard. Hopefully he can see it. It's right above this shoulder.
Yeah, I see it.
I told him, I was like, send me that postcard so I could put it on my wall and everybody can see it.
Yeah, he sees it. Oh, I see it.
Next time I'll just sit further back to the wall.
There you go.
Yeah. I got it right next to Bowie. It looks, yeah.
Yes.
And then I'm getting a poster from Steve Gosney. For my birthday, my birthday stream. I was like, I want one of those posters on your wall. and I'm gonna have to make room for it. I don't
Yes.
know where, but
Well, and
so I'll be getting that.
is he supposed to be sending you a K bar too, if I'm not
No,
mistaken,
I
right?
didn't get that one. Nope. It didn't go through that night. Not enough donations, but that was like almost after people have already donated like so much money for me to get what I got.
Yes.
I was just like, oh, I can really, he did really well with all that. But
It was so much
then he had
fun.
that
I
big K
enjoyed
bar. I
that.
was like, I love that thing.
Yes. He was like, well, we get some more donations and I'll do that.
Yeah, I was like, send me that night. That would be so funny. And my dad was watching it. He's like, hey, Lord Danielle, what are you going to do with that? He's very country, you know. So,
Rabbit, absolutely. I still want you there.
Oh, said I sound terrible. I doubt that.
No, you don't sound
Nandor.
terrible at all.
Nandor
And
had wrote earlier, where was I? I'm in Florida, Nandor.
you know, Ziggy Stardust poster from 72 to 73.
I
Yeah,
have one.
that's
I have
awesome.
one. It's
That's
actually
awesome.
rolled up, or actually, it's not rolled up. It's kind of smashed behind my bed on the floor. It's him, and he's got the red suit on with the like, and he's
Yes.
doing, yeah,
Yes.
he's on the ground, but
Yeah.
I do have it. And I got Billy Idol next to me. I can't believe I said Bon Jovi.
Oh yeah.
Billy Idol though, for sure.
Well, it's because I started talking about Bon Jovi and
See, there's Billy Idol. Can you see
Yep,
him? He's
I
right above
see
my
it.
pillow. He
Yep.
sleeps behind me. It's the only man I need.
That's all the man you need.
That's the only man I need. I got Billy right there in my bed.
There you go.
And I got Johnny over there
Oh
too.
my God. You know, that what introduced me to Billy Idol was I was on a like a church youth group camp kind of thing. And this girl that we were giving a ride home to, lovely girl, she was playing this like and letting me listen to it. So we had our headphones listening to it together.
Aw.
And it was White Wedding. I was like, this is cool.
He's
I like
awesome.
this. Yeah. So yeah, it was a girl that got me introduced to Billy Idol.
If I can't sleep, I watch Eyes Without a Face, or listen to Eyes Without a Face and listen to it. Like, somebody would think I was a total creep if they walk, and I am when it comes to Billy Idol. Like, total creep out. But I love that, and it'll put me right to sleep. It's like my lullaby.
So that's your favorite Idol song?
Maybe. I guess so. Yeah, I like Generation X too when he did that.
Yeah.
So that was like when he was in his punk band.
Right.
That was better than when he was punk. Yeah, but he's a great in the 80s. Like, he was my first crush, like, ever.
Yeah, I think Cyndi Lauper was my first crush.
Was she? I can see that. She's
I mean, as far as like the teenage crush, it was. Cyndi
my son
Lauper.
liked her when he was little. He was like, she's so pretty, Mom.
Yeah.
She is. She's got a thing about her.
And then of course I was introduced to Debbie Harry, and I was like,
Debbie Harry's. I got a really good picture of her somewhere. You should see the rest of my room. It's like I got Black Flag flyers, Sonic Youth, like the old one. I got Fat Mike from NoFX posing. You know, I don't know if you know Fat Mike from NoFX, how he went kind of girly.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so more Andy Warhol.
Yeah,
I get excited about all this stuff.
The Idol sneer was fire. Yeah.
Nandor says she's in Florida somewhere working. We will have to meet up.
Yes, I got to see her at the what was the name of the place? It used to be Earthlink Live, Center Stage. It was Center Stage and Earthlink Live, and then they changed the name again or something like that. And I got to see Elton John. He's actually really impressive.
I bet.
Like really impressive, like talent. Yeah, I was pretty impressed with that. But yeah, Cyndi Lauper, she's got no backside.
She what?
She has no backside. She's got no butt.
No flat?
I
Clumsy
was
was
sort of
doing a thing
disappointed.
today about flat butts and saying that people with flat butts, what did she say? It's something with the whole, when you read it has something like when you palm read, it's kind of like that. But she said flat butt people are like depressed and stuff. I think she put it like that. I'll have to like rewatch that stream and get back to you on it. It was
But
pretty interesting talking about the backside and different
yeah,
backsides. And
well, because that's where I saw her from. I was like, holy crap, that's Cyndi Lauper. I was like, she's got no butt, but she still sounds great. And she's still lovely as all get out.
Oh,
Now, unlike Gwen Stefani, she had a nice backside.
Gwen Stefani's so pretty. Oh, okay. So you see Daniel Lamparelli in the chat. He's known me all the way back since 9th grade. He was my first love.
Who's that?
But he knows me like, yeah, I just got on.
Flat butts. Yep.
But yeah, like that is my, like, I've known him forever. Let's see.
Kaiser.
What did he say?
He said that explains a lot about me.
Oh gosh, boring and depressed.
No.
Aw.
Yeah, it was yeah, like Les Claypool from Sausage then did Primus.
Okay.
So he is so damn tall. I mean, it's like he's impressively tall. Like whenever you meet him, you're just like, holy crap, you're taller than I thought. I thought you were like just skinny, but no, you're really freaking tall. And I remember seeing him at the like, what was it, Midtown Music Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks out and he sees like this guy that's got his hair like completely, got the mohawk. And he just points him out and he was like, you with the blue hair, egg whites, right? And the guy just looked at him like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, it was like he got the mohawk that day and then like had somebody hairspray it up, and he was just like, back whenever we did punk rock, it was egg whites.
Egg whites in the oven, I think.
Yeah,
or the egg whites in there, and then you stick it in the oven, and it stands straight up. I guess that's what I've heard. I've never done walks, so
yeah. And he was just like, it was just like, and he's like, well, anyway, and he just kicks into it. But he is one that communicates with his audience very well. Les Claypool communicates so well with his audience, and he interacts with them, lets them know what's on his mind at that spur of the moment. And he's like quick-witted, like reminds you a lot like Nick Rekieta, how Nick Rekieta just all of a sudden come up with something off the top of his head, or
and he's witty and he's good about it. Like,
where you're just like,
I love that. I like that about a person.
How did you come up with that?
It's so
amazing. Look at that. Hello, Danielle Lamparelli. This is Danielle Lamparelli right here.
Daniel Lamparelli.
Jello Biafro. Yeah, that was something with the dead Kennedys, Holiday in Cambodia. I mean, just like that. Yeah.
Well, I told Dan earlier that you had your first, he's just now getting on, but I told him that your first band was inspired off of the Dead Kennedys and what you say at Iggy, right?
Yeah.
And somehow I got to hear this band. Like, you got to let me hear them somehow. Like, if you have an old tape, something, if you find anything with your music on it, I have to hear it. So
see, everything that I have would be on, I think I've got an old tape, but it is like, I just never transferred it over onto CD. That's something I guess I'll have to do at some point in time.
You'll have to for me, because I need to hear it.
Because we had one, what the hell was the name of it? Because I ended up doing it at a later point in time, but the guy that was doing it was like, do you mind if I use this song that we used to do? And I was like, no, I mean, you wrote the lyrics to it. We just like wrote the drums and bass to it. Have fun. And so he changed it up a little bit, but it's still the same song. And yeah, I'll have to I've got them around somewhere. I'll have to pull that stuff up and
Yeah,
just let you hear it. Still
definitely,
digitizing.
definitely. Keep me in mind if you ever find that. Let me know.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll definitely do that because it was. I've got so much music that I've never actually digitized it or put it on anything that's like a permanent place. Like you think, oh,
Oh,
cassettes will last forever. So
yeah, yeah. Oh,
yeah, yeah.
me and Dan, when we were younger, we would make. He had a big influence on my music, like upbringing. He would make me so many mixtapes, which of course I had to hide from my parents. He'll even vouch for me. Like they were very, very strict. So he would make me stuff, sneak it to me in school, you know, and then when I was by myself at home, I would sit there and listen to it. So he introduced me to a lot of stuff. Um, like he was I'm so glad he's in the chat. Like he had a big influence on my love for music and just growing up and becoming who I am.
That's
So
so
it's
awesome.
really special. Yeah, so I'm glad he's watching.
Thank you, Dan. Really,
Yeah,
really appreciate it.
he's a
Really
lot of
appreciate it.
why I am who I am. So yeah, he'll see true about Danielle's parents.
Just Kiss Army and definitely in Rage Against the Machine.
What he said over there too about my parents, like they true, yeah.
But devout Christian. Yep.
But they
Yep.
were like hardcore in a way that was like embarrassing. Uh
Not a
yeah.
question of worth, but it's worth questioning.
They would pray
Absolutely.
over him even when he would come over, and I was like, "Oh no, you're gonna scare him." It was just a nightmare of like a thing, but like we've remained close like throughout our whole lives. Like I've never really changed who I am as a person like since then. So 30 years almost knowing one another.
Wow.
So, and I can't
Yeah.
say that about a lot of people. Like, yeah, maybe because I'm still pretty like, say hi. I went to my high school reunion, my 20th year reunion, but
I didn't.
music is always something I stood by, and same with Dan. Like we've both have been 100% committed to everything that we've known as a kid. Like it's made us who we are.
So do you have any new bands that you listen to?
Yes. There's this band called Union Jack, and it's a very rare thing. I'm a little bit
Well, see,
snobby
now
when
you'll
it
have
comes
to
to
get.
finding new punk bands, but I found a couple. One of this one band's called Union Jack,
Union
and
Jack. Okay.
I love them. And it's really hard to find their stuff. And when you do look for it, or yeah, Union Jack, that's right. And they have a song called 13 Ways. So that's the first one you need to listen to, Shiz.
13 Ways.
And
Cool.
there's another one. What is this band called? I might have to look at my phone because I'm overly excited right now and I can't remember anything. The Fomites.
The Fomites?
Fomites. Fomites.
Okay.
And they have a song called Hell Divers.
Hold on.
And it's amazing.
I
But Union Jack is the one that I can't get enough of. And
well,
I'm like, if they ever come around, I have to see them. And I guess they are out of the UK.
okay. Oh, that makes sense with
Um,
a name like Union
but a
Jack.
lot of these bands are independent, and so you got to like kind of like hunt them down, or maybe I'm just making it more difficult than what it is, which I don't mind. And yeah, so those two are the ones that I've really been into, and I also like some of the dark wave. Like I like She Passed Away. I saw them with my son,
Okay.
and they are it's like a two-man band. Um, Dan actually really likes them too, or no, he likes them because he sent me songs of them. And then there's a band called Get Dead. They're
Get
off of
dead.
Fat Records.
Okay.
Um, what is my favorite song by them that I want you to hear? Um, they got a several Hard
No,
Times.
I'll look
Get
it
Dead,
up.
Hard Times, and I want you
Hard
to listen
times.
to the lyrics of that. So
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Oh, I'd be
So
so excited like to hear what you think about any of them. But yeah, that's the newest bands I've heard that I like.
well, and
And
mine
Union
tend to
Jack,
be a
I
little
will,
bit
huh?
mine have tended to be a little bit more mainstream. Like I started just going back and listening to stuff like Clutch,
Hmm.
listening to them Crooked Vultures, Queens of the Stone Age. And those are more of the that California where the drums just have this constant beat to it.
I got you.
And
Yeah.
like Queens of the Stone Age has David Grohl, John Paul Jones,
And
the lead
Josh,
singer.
isn't it Josh? What's his?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I
he
know who
was
you're
married
talking
to
about.
Brody Dale from Distillers.
Right.
I actually got a picture of her just because I like her mohawk in the picture. It's
It's
right above me. But they had a really bad divorce. Did you hear about all that? Josh Holmes,
no.
that's his name.
Yeah, Joss Holmes.
Of course, I'm going to hear the drama of it. Like, anyways,
Then
that's a whole nother story. But
then I started listening to a little bit of the Royal Blood,
I
which I
don't know.
was like, it's a two-piece band, which makes it really and they're impressive. I mean, just talent, like their live stuff. I was like, holy crap, they sound just as good live as they
Oh,
do.
wonderful. Isn't it fun to find new music to listen to?
Yeah.
Like, if you find a band that just like speaks to you, it's like, God, this is such a gift.
Yes.
Like, just to have that. When I found the couple bands that I told you about on my own, just by accident, and it's never by accident to me. I'm always like, they were brought to me for a reason. Everything's
I
personal to me with music because
I I
I
think
love
you
it so much.
I really think you'd like John Spencer and
Is that who I
he
wrote down? No, I wrote down something else for Dean, my son. So
John
John
Spencer
Spencer.
and the Blues Explosion. Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah. Oh,
think
you
you'd
mentioned them earlier.
yeah, and that's some
I'm
like
open to listen to
that's
different
like
stuff.
90s, and they've done some more recent stuff. But he did a bunch of other bands also besides that. But yeah, the Blues Explosion is pretty solid stuff.
Okay, so that's who I need to check out. Anything specific, like
Start from the beginning. Orange
start from the
is their
beginning?
first
Okay.
album, but yeah, they've got a lot of stuff. Yeah, Lollapalooza era.
Oh, this has been
Um,
so fun.
oh yeah, and I mean, I would sit there and throw. Yeah, I mean, if my memory sucks so bad, I've seen
So
so
does
many bands
mine.
and heard so many bands. I'm just like, what's the name of that band? What's the name of the band? It'll just like eat me up, and then I'll
Yeah.
go back and I'm like,
Oh, I hate that.
there it is. That's
Yeah.
the name of them.
And it's always it's like when somebody puts you on the spot with it to remember, it's
Yeah,
like, what was it? Oh yeah. It's
yeah.
almost like a certain movie or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean there was always the Cult, Clash, the Sex Pistols, but it was like the bands that weren't really well known that you could and they didn't have a whole lot of content or a whole lot of music, but there would be that one song that was just like,
That stood out. See, that
yeah,
was me. I always would find one or two songs. I could never you had to be really good for me to get through your whole album. Cause my patience, it's probably a good thing that I've always liked punk rock because the attention span that I have is so minute. It's really small. So I would listen. I was like, oh, I'm so glad that song only listened for 2 seconds, and it was awesome. I
like,
remember when Sonic Youth did Nick Fit, and I was like, oh,
yeah.
I like it. It was
Well,
quick and it was sloppy, and it just made my heart fill with joy. And I don't know.
like Queens of the Stone Age, Songs for the Deaf is such an awesome album. I mean, just from
Is
beginning to
it?
end. Yeah, from beginning
Well,
to
I know
end.
that they're very talented.
Yeah,
Definitely. I
yeah,
never got into them. Like the song that I heard, No One Knows. Is that right? Queens of the Stone Age. They sing
yeah.
that.
Queens of the Stone Age.
Okay, No One Knows, and that other one. I liked it,
Yeah, I
but
was. Yeah, and I think they just released a new album. Yeah, Agnostic Front was very sloppy.
yeah.
Yeah, love that album by Queens of the Stone Age. Yeah, Songs for the Deaf. It is, and there's because the way that the album was written, and I didn't learn about this until recently. The way that they wrote it was like you were getting in your car and you were making a trip across the desert.
Who's this?
Queens of the Stone Age, Songs for the
Oh,
Deaf.
I got you. Like we're on an adventure. Let's do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, because you'll hear them like changing stations throughout it. And then all of a sudden you'll hear like this very beginning intro where it's just sort of like in the background, and then all of a sudden it like kicks into it. I'll play it for you in the back room. I'll play it for you in the
Yeah.
back room because I can't do it live because it'll get my channel.
You'll get you copy struck,
Yeah. I'm
right?
not going to do that. I'm not going to do that.
I think we've had really good self-control not playing anything.
Yes, because I'm just like, oh, there's so much that I want to play. I would throw up like some Iggy Pop, would you be my mother? Can I be your dog? It's just like, oh,
Oh, I
yes.
know.
Just the
So incredibly
aggression in
sexy. I
that. It
love
was
his
like,
stuff.
oh, ah.
What was the one song he did? The Passenger. That's
Yes,
a cruising song too. Yeah.
yes.
I love
Well,
that one.
and then it was amazing because you would get all of these crossover bands that would be like musicians and other bands, and they would sort of cross over, and they would do something that was similar, and had that like same depth and feel to it. I mean, that was one cool part about, like, if you listen to Queens of the Stone Age, then you listen to them Crooked Vultures, you can turn around and listen to another Queens of the Stone Age. You could listen to Royal Blood. You could listen to you could listen to Soundgarden, and you're just like, it all just, it's like this like perpetual song list. And
Yeah.
these are musicians that are doing like almost the same stuff in different veins.
Right, right, right. Aw.
Yes. Yes. Let's not have a heavy metal repeat. Give me Danger, Little Stranger. Love Iggy's obvious opiate influences. Yes.
Yeah, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Well,
But
I know.
that's what made a lot of good musicians was when they were on drugs.
Yeah, it did.
I mean,
It
most of all of
really
our
did.
musicians from back then.
Well, and those that made it through the drug issues that they had ended up like, still continuing on and giving us good music. I mean,
Yes. Yes.
like John Paul Jones, he said whenever he went in and produced the Butthole Surfers, the Butthole Surfers,
Hmm.
he was just like, he had to go back to rehab after that.
Yeah.
And that was like that Texas scene where you had the Butthole Surfers, you had Circle Jerks, you had um what was it, did Stigmata Ministry,
Oh, yeah.
bands like that were all like in that whole scene. Yeah, look at Slash.
And look at Lemmy.
Yeah,
Lemmy did everything,
yeah,
like enough to kill a horse.
pretty much.
And you would never even know. Well, you knew because he's Lemmy, but like he's going to outlive us all.
Yeah, yeah, Hendrix was always high on stage, absolutely, but
Hey,
he
it
was
was
also
part of
he
their
was
craft, a lot of
yeah,
what they did.
yeah.
Lenny
Lemmy.
or Lemmy? There's a Lenny
Yeah,
Kravitz
there's two different, there's Lemmy and there's
and
Lemmy.
there's Lemmy. There's Lemmy.
Well, I know that you've got to be heading out pretty soon. I want
I
to
got
talk
to
to you.
leave at least I got to get my son at 11 and it takes me 20 minutes to get to where he's at.
Well, and I want to chat with you in the back room for a little bit.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
wanted to introduce you to people that are on my channel, and have these people get to see you, and
And we'll
just
have to like
know.
stream again together too.
Yes,
Didn't mean to cut you
absolutely.
off.
Oh, it'd be so much fun. We can just sit here and talk music all
Yeah.
night long.
Or anything, life,
Yeah,
just whatever we want.
right. And we will get into that stuff at a future date.
Yay.
It-
I
you know,
love the intro that you did. I'm still excited about that. How cool was
well,
that?
and what I'll do is I'll play that intro as an outro also,
Okay.
so that way everybody gets to see it, because
Yeah,
it
I
was
want
so
Dan to
much
see
fun.
it. Yeah, that was really cool.
It was, and everybody, make sure, if you haven't subscribed to her, she doesn't have any content, but you need to subscribe to her anyway.
I couldn't believe it. I looked today and I had 15 subscribers and I was like, what in the world are these people thinking? There's nothing going on.
There will be. There will be. You know,
I
and that's that.
know.
See, one thing you can do on there is you can actually create a playlist
All right. Well, I like what.
of music,
Yeah,
and people they would go to it, and you'd be like, you know, you could just put in a playlist of music that you like, and just they could
that's
click
like
on it
literally
and
all
listen.
it would be about. If I had my own channel, it'd be like music and I don't know, maybe talking about work or something.
Well, Daniel, we've got a good outro for it. It's the same thing as the intro,
Thank you,
but
Dan.
everybody gets to see it, and just, you know, make sure you reach down there, you hit the thumbs up, you subscribe if you're not subscribed, and there will be more stuff like this. And Danielle will be on here again. So,
Aw.
you know,
And if when I'm not on, I'm usually in his chat, so you'll see me in there too. So
exactly. So we've got some good stuff going on. And what I'll do is I will kick this thing out of here, and we'll say goodnight to everybody. Anything else you want to tell these fine folks?
no, I just appreciate all the nice comments and for you guys supporting Shiz. He's amazing, and thank you all.
All right. We'll see you guys on the flip side. Peace.